Joe Goldie, Certified Financial Planner with Highland Financial Advisors. Welcome back to my series on financial planning for newly independent women. Today what we're going to talk about actually applies not just to divorcees, but also to someone who may have lost their spouse recently. What we're talking about specifically is updating beneficiaries in three critical areas. That's your estate documents, your life insurance documents, and your retirement/investment accounts. And we'll go into detail on exactly what action items you have to do in each of those three categories. At the end, I'll talk a little bit about health insurance as well, and some options that you have available to you as a divorcee or a widow. So let's get started. So the first area I want to talk about is your estate documents. What I'm referring to specifically here are your will, your financial power of attorney, and your healthcare power of attorney. So within your will, post-divorce or having lost a spouse recently, very often within your will, you're naming a spouse as your executor. Your executor is the person you're naming to carry out the wishes and the provisions within the will. Obviously, after a divorce or the loss of a spouse, you're going to want to update who that executor is. Also within a will, if there's children involved, there may be a trust that kicks in after your passing, and those assets that you have may go into a trust. That trust has a trustee who you're naming, trustee and successor trustees if anything happens to the first trustee, or co-trustees. So you will want to update that person very likely if you have your spouse named as trustee, and within the divorce agreement, that's changing. So very important to kind of be aware of that within the will document itself. Also, you have your healthcare power of attorney. That's somebody who you're naming to carry out your healthcare wishes if you become incapacitated. Again, it's usually a spouse, so if that's changing or you want to name somebody else post-divorce, or if you've lost your spouse, very important to update that document. And then financial power of attorney is essentially the same thing, but it's the person you're naming to carry out, to control your financial documents and to have the power to sign on your behalf with any financial accounts that you have. So that person who you name as executor within your will, within your financial power of attorney, and within your healthcare power of attorney, that might all be the same person, or you can name different people. Some people are more better suited toward the healthcare decisions versus the financial decisions. The whole point is, though, if you've just gone through a divorce and your divorce is now finalized, or you've just lost your spouse, very likely those documents are going to need to be updated. So those are the three documents. Often an attorney is used, their services are used to update these documents. So what we like to do is I'll sit down as a financial advisor with my clients who are going through these changes, and we will talk about and discuss what changes need to be made to try and minimize the amount of time that you're spending with your attorney. Obviously, you're paying by the hour. We try to minimize that cost as much as possible. So we'll have these conversations one-on-one prior to speaking to an attorney. So the second category I want to talk to you about is life insurance. And here what I'm referring to specifically is really term insurance, whole life, and I'm going to group annuities in here as well. So obviously, after following a divorce being finalized or having lost a spouse, very often beneficiaries need to be updated with any term, whole life, and annuities. Often it is the other spouse who's the primary beneficiary. So not only the primary beneficiary has to get changed, but also potentially contingent beneficiaries as well. So again, that applies to any term insurance that you have, whole life policies, and any annuities that may be out there. Something that is often overlooked post-divorce is if you're the spouse that's receiving alimony and child support, you are often due life insurance coverage by your ex-spouse. So your ex-spouse is required to have certain coverage put in place to cover their life. In the event that they pass away, you're still going to get your alimony and child support due to you. What's often overlooked is after a divorce, no one's really checking up to see if that insurance was changed properly and that the proper amount of coverage is there for you as the beneficiary. So one way to protect yourself is making sure within your divorce agreement that you are going to get named as an irrevocable beneficiary. Irrevocable beneficiaries are different than regular beneficiaries. It's much more difficult to make any changes to an irrevocable beneficiary. So that is something that you want to talk to your attorney about and make sure that it's stipulated in your agreement, your divorce agreement, that you're named as an irrevocable beneficiary, not just a regular beneficiary. That way you're protected and you know you have enough insurance in place that if anything happens to your ex-spouse, you will get your alimony and child support that's due to you. So the next category we're going to talk about is investments and retirement accounts. So when it comes to your investment accounts, what we're referring to here specifically is your IRAs, so traditional and Roth IRAs that you may have, and also any work retirement plans like 401ks, 403bs, pensions. On all of these account types, whether it's IRA, 401k, there's beneficiaries that are named. Obviously, often it's your spouse, your ex-spouse, so you'll want to update those beneficiaries on your IRA and any work retirement plans that you have. Similarly, within your investment accounts, very often what we see are TOD and POD. TOD is transfer on death, and that's where you can actually name beneficiaries on your regular investment account. You'll want to update those. And POD is payable on death. That really applies to any bank, checking, or savings accounts that you've named beneficiaries on. Another category just to mention, not as common, but within 529 college savings plans, very often there's a successor owner that's named, and that's really if anything happens to the owner of the 529 college savings plan, that person will then kick in as the owner. Now, that may still be your ex-spouse because you have children together, but there are situations where you may want to update that successor owner as well. So those are really the main areas that we're discussing here, is really your IRAs, your work retirement plans, your investment accounts, and any bank, checking, or savings accounts. Across the board, you're going to want to update beneficiaries on all of those. So before we finish today, I wanted to talk a little bit about health insurance and what options you have available to you. So if you're a divorcee or you've just lost your spouse, the main option that usually most people will go for is if you are employed, you'll have coverage under your current employer. Another option, if you're not employed or you don't have coverage available, would be COBRA. COBRA essentially allows you to continue coverage under your ex-spouse or your late spouse's plan for up to 36 months. There will be premiums involved, and it's not inexpensive, but if you need coverage, COBRA is usually an option, and again, that's for up to 3 years after a divorce or after losing your spouse. A third option is the healthcare marketplace. So every state has their own dedicated healthcare marketplace website where you can go online. We typically help clients with this here at Highland. We'll go online and you can actually shop around among different plans. You can compare different plans and see the different coverage amounts and premiums available. So that is a third option for a lot of people. To recap, we talked today about the critical importance of updating your beneficiary designations in three areas. That was estate documents. So we were talking about your last will and testament, your financial power of attorney, and your healthcare power of attorney. We talked about updating beneficiaries within insurance, and that was really term insurance, whole life insurance, and any annuities that you have. Third, we were talking about investment accounts. That included IRAs, 401ks, or any other work retirement plans or pensions. That also may include regular investment accounts or bank checking and savings accounts if you did name beneficiaries on those. And then also within 529 college savings plans, we touched on if you have a successor owner, you may want to update that as well, depending on your situation. So I hope that helps. As always, I offer a free 15-minute consultation. You can find that link through our website at highlandplanning.com, and I'll see you next time.